This is Donovan Price, the driver of the Durham Muay Thai and Kickboxing Superstock at a Peterborough Speedway, and you're watching ONTrack Weekly.
Everybody, Cam K with you tonight for GeForce on GeForce TV for ONTrack Weekly. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're on the final week of January, which means we are only a couple of weeks away from Daytona. Yeah, sure, you got the Clash in there as well, but we're almost to that February mark, which means we're still quite a ways away from our racing taking place here in Ontario, but doesn't matter. Still got some racing on the docket tonight. We'll talk about some of the cool stuff that went on at Peterborough Speedway in 2023. We'll look at the 2024 schedule and see what their rosters are looking like. I want to thank Donovan Price for doing our intro as our intro driver this week. Donovan races the Superstock division out at Peterborough Speedway. We'll be back there again in 2024. So Peterborough did release their schedule actually only a couple of days ago. So it's not the most detailed out there. They have posted that a more detailed version of their schedule will come out at Motorama. So we'll be very excited to see what they've got planned for this year, but we'll take a look at their schedule. We'll talk about the point standings and autumn colors from 2023, and then we'll look forward to see who's part of the rosters, obviously with the help of local insider at Peterborough Speedway, Brandon Feeney, for some of those updates. Just want to thank you for tuning in once again here for episode number 74 of ONTrack Weekly. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe to GeForce TV. Great content all season long. We'd really appreciate it. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody from Full Throttle Motor Speedway that tuned in last week. Best views I have ever had on any show ever. So thank you so much. Full Throttle will definitely make sure that we do more of those. But today it is Peterborough Speedway Day. So we're going to have to look at a couple of different things here, and luckily we've got some Peterborough people in the chat already, so love to hear from them and hear what they have to say about the season that was and the season that will be. We're going to start obviously with the schedule that was released on January 26th, and like I said, it looks bare, but that's only because it's early, and they said they're going to have a detailed schedule released, but it does give us some indications. So we'll take a look at those, and we'll see a little bit more into what Peterborough is going to put for us. We're going to look in, hopefully on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast, have JP to come on the show and chat with us about the 2024 season and the 2023 season that was. Of course, if you're very interested at Peterborough Speedway, you should go and check it out. Great speedway. My history there actually was the racetrack that we went to after Mosport Speedway for many years. It was when I started watching CASCAR, we went to Mosport, and then we switched it up and went to Peterborough. And then when Peterborough came off the schedule, we went back to Mosport Speedway until it closed. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight here on GeForce TV for our Peterborough Speedway night. Let's take a quick look at their schedule for 2024. So here's what we've got so far in terms of the schedule, starting out on May 18th. It's a little bit later than some of the other racetracks, but that's okay. Doesn't have to be all on time. See, and I think it's better actually if we don't have it that way and more spread out. Try and take away some of the conflicts. Potentially could mean that we have some crossover on opening night at Sunset with racers from Peterborough heading out to race at Sunset for the season opener on May 4th. But here it's May 18th. Pure Country presents opening night. Listen to this. Free admission on opening night. Love that. Great idea to get people out to the racetrack. Fan appreciation night, bone stocks, mini stocks, renegade trucks, super stocks, late models, and legends. That is a stacked card if there was one to start the season off. And obviously free admission, fan appreciation. You've got to love it. Great idea. And I think the more that you offer incentives like this, including like free nights, obviously the track is taking a bit of a hit, but you're trying to do what you can to pack the place full of race fans. And I think starting it off, thanks to Pure Country for their partnership with Peterborough Speedway to start the season off. May 25th, mini stocks, renegade trucks, super stocks, junior late models, legends, Ontario modifieds, and the kids barrel races. Ontario modifieds, junior late models, and back-to-back weeks with legends at Peterborough Speedway. Bone stocks, mini stocks, late models, legends, outlaw midgets, and kids rides. I don't know if they've created a legends division here at Peterborough Speedway, but June 1st, they've got that back-to-back. And then Pepsi presents the Double Tuning Night for fan appreciation. Once again, a great incentive for race fans. Bone stocks, mini stocks, renegade trucks, super stocks, late models, and junior late models. One thing you don't notice as well, junior late model doesn't appear to be separated between junior late model pro and just junior late model. I believe the way that this looks right now is, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the chat here, but that they are going to go with a one-tier division, it looks like, for one division of junior late models instead of the two. APC late models back June 15th. Always a great show. You add in the Quick Super Stocks for 50 laps. They're going to put the bone stocks and renegade trucks back out there for broadcast on Racing America via G-Force TV. This is Peterborough, Hannah Lamont. Then you've got Autism Awareness Nights, mini stocks, renegade trucks, super stocks, late models, junior late models, and the TQ midgets. Pepsi's, once again, they've already done this once, but a second double tuning night for fan appreciation. Gotta love the fan appreciation nights to get people out into the racetrack and help them out however you can. Bone stocks, mini stocks, super stocks, late models, and junior late models. Then you got the 50-lapper bone stock event July 6th with the super stocks, legends, junior late models, Ontario modifieds, and King of the Hill. On July 13th is the Midsummer Bash, your outlaws, your super late models, 50 lappers at Peterborough Speedway. Then you've got the bone stocks, mini stocks, renegade trucks, late models, and the kids rides. One of the highlights for any racer is get to be able to take one of the kids around in your ride. I know Brandon Feeney's talked about that several times. Longtime competitor at Peterborough Speedway, and actually somebody I turn to a lot for a little bit of background and history regarding certain racetracks. So definitely going to love that. The Midsummer Bash is definitely going to be something to watch. The Outlaw super late models. You're going to have Sean Chenoweth, J.R. Fitzpatrick, Paul Sr. all expected to be part of the Outlaws this year. So a very stacked field in there as well. Then July 20th, the Bill Pickford Memorial Race for the mini stocks, renegade trucks, super stocks, legends, junior late models, Ontario modifieds, and kids bike races. Then one of the ones that I love, one of the ones that I absolutely always pay attention to, is the Ontario Sportsman Series 100. And it has been chaos when we go to Peterborough in our series. The track is so fast and so challenging, and our racers have just had a really tough time getting around there clean. Last year, if you're unfamiliar, Ontario Sportsman Series, last 2 years that Peterborough Speedway has produced some fantastic racing. In 2022, Kevin Trevelyan got his very first OSS victory after 30 years. Mark Patrick came on late, finishing in second place. Two veterans having one hell of a race between the two of them. Then last year, Tim Tolton leading into the final laps gets moved by Brendan Patrick in turn 1 and 2. Patrick allowed him to try and catch a hold of the car. He was able to save the car, didn't go up and finish on the podium, unfortunately, but Brendan Patrick got his first career victory at Peterborough as well. 2 straight years with a first-time winner. Can we make it 3? Joining them that night will be Bone Stock, Super Stocks, late models, junior late models, outlaw midgets, and the kids' barrel races. Then we head to August 3rd, and the Oscar Modifieds and Oscar Hot Rods are in town with a pre-race corn roast. Bone Stocks, Mini Stocks, Renegade Trucks, and again, how can you not love the kids' rides? Then on August 10th, it's a 50-lap mini stock event with the Renegade Trucks, the Legends, Junior Late Models, Modifieds, and King of the Hill. Then you've got the last fan appreciation. Pepsi presents the Double Tuning Night for Bone Stocks, Mini Stocks, Super Stocks, Late Models, and TBA. So there's always something interesting. They're going to have to put that on the schedule there. August 24th, Bone Stocks, Renegade Trucks, Super Stocks, Late Models, Outlaw Midgets, and Kids Bike Races. Now we head to August 31st. That is the championship clash and the non-winners races. Bone Stocks, Mini Stocks, Renegade Trucks, Super Stocks, Late Models, Junior Late Models, and the Ontario Modifieds. And then we head to October 11th to 13th. It is the 31st annual Autumn Colors Classic. Hopefully a little bit better in terms of weather this year. It was a Good Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, it was a bit of a mess. Came back the following week. Unfortunately, we lost some entries. One of the bigger names, Dan McHattie, was not able to stick around and be able to be in that race. Amanda Balson, not able to be in the hot rod race because of the change to the following weekend. Hopefully the weather doesn't interfere. Great event as every year it is. You see some names that come out just for that event. And unfortunately, we weren't able to stick around for the following weekend. We were only able to be there that first weekend, and unfortunately it rained. Calvin Reeser says, can't wait to have the car back at Full Colors. Camping, racing, what's better? Nothing. Calvin, absolutely nothing. Just Peterborough, they know how to do it, man, and I love the Autumn Colors Classic, man. I it's one of those things that you just, it took me so long to ever to get to experience it, really. Didn't get to see it as a kid. We always obviously had Thanksgiving celebrations when we were kids, and so it was just, a family was kind of the thing, and now we're much older, and so definitely being able to go out and head to the racetrack, especially at Peterborough Speedway, for a classic like this. I would like to see it back on GeForce TV. Obviously, I can understand if that's not possible, but I definitely was actually rewatching some of it today when doing some notes for the show tonight. But it's always a great show, and again, the more and more that we can have people tuning in and be interested in some of these racetracks, the better. And I think you've got a couple of great things moving forward next year. I hope we can see a lot more crossovers. Crossover appeal is something that we obviously, for me as a fan, I want to see racers that come from Sunset Speedway, that come from Flamborough, Sauble, all over. And I almost feel like in the last couple of years, Autumn Colors, we've lost a little bit of that. We've lost some names that maybe would have normally come out, and hopefully we get that back this year. It's going to be a little bit weird in 2024. I think we'll have obviously names like Trayton Lapsovich, whether they're going to be around. That'll be tough. Kyle Steckley, same thing, so we'll see. There's obviously a lot of change. Obviously, we could talk about Trayton Lapsovich's news, but Peterborough Speedway last year, he finished runner-up in the Electric City 167. So in Glenn Steyer's Zero car. So there's always going to be a lot of fun. What I like at Peterborough is the amount of Legends races. Those Legends know that track. They run so very well. Now, for myself, like that's a stacked night for Ontario Sportsman Series. We have 100 laps to get around there. Bone stock, super stocks, late models, junior late models, outlaw midgets, and the barrel races all on the same night. They're packing the nights very full of stuff. And, for us, last year, the Irving Oil 100 was a great race. And hopefully we can follow that up again. And I love seeing the initiatives that tracks are doing and having Pure Country presented a free admission on the opening night. That's how to get people excited. And then not starting their season opener the same week as other tracks is also, I think, a good idea. I like that idea. It gives drivers an opportunity to go elsewhere to kind of prep before their opening night. And we'll take a look at our point standings from 2023. This is based off of Peterborough Speedway's website. Okay, so that is where the information has come from. So, Peterborough Speedway's point standings for 2023. We're just going to make sure we minimize this just a little bit. All right, we'll start off with Battlefield Cat Store Bone Stocks. Thank you, Battlefield, for your support. Jacob Kelly winning the championship in the Bone Stock division over Sean Kennedy in the 9, Tegan Stanley in the number 23. One of my favorite cars out there, the number 21 of Angelo Novus. Got to thank Brandon Feeney for his introduction of a lot of these racers to me when we were there. Victoria McLennan, John Bates, Corey Horn, Christian Lavelle, and Zach Chang. Great featurette on Zach Chang on Peterborough's social media. You definitely got to check that out. Great story there. Kyle Johnson in the 02, Samuel Arnott in 11th, James Amos, Mark Griffin, Chris Ebert, and then you have 15th, Phil Givens, traveling racer if there was one. Calvin Reeser, who we mentioned in the chat already. Jacob Booth, he's going to be out of the Bone Stocks for 24 though. Scott Simpson, Matt McMartin, and Ryan Oosterholt are your 20 competitors that raced at Peterborough Speedway in the Battlefield Cat Store Bone Stocks. So thank you very much to Battlefield for presenting Peterborough Speedway and their Bone Stock division. Next up is the Kingsway Truck Center Junior Late Model Pro division. Now, based on their schedule right now, they have not specified whether they're doing the Junior Late Model Pros. It would appear that maybe they're all going to be together next year. So we'll have to see how that goes. Champion, number 12, Lucas Cousineau. It's kind of hard to be at Peterborough and not see a Cousineau out there. There's a lot of them, and we'll see them right here. Chase Cousineau, runner-up in the 08, and then the 14 of Cole Cousineau and Landon Sellers tied for third point in points. Carson Cousineau in fifth. Caden Beatty in the number 86. Lila Sigma, somebody who I think you're going to have to watch out for. She looks like she's got a lot of speed, as does Chase Stevenson in the 77. Wyatt Beatty in the 68. Lucas Finnegan. Braden Capucci. I don't know if I said that right. Keegan Moat. Jake Spencer Waltz out of the junior late models. And Morgan Moore, who made a start as well. Kingsway Auto Center's junior late model division, not the pros, but the junior late models. Avery Kirkpatrick, number 13, wins the championship. Great job for Avery. And Avery actually part of the Ladies of the Oval calendar in 2024. Praxton Sellers, Gracelyn McInnes, Lakeland Junkin, and Lila Sigma. Braden Capucci. I don't know if I'm saying that. I'm probably butchering that. I apologize, Braden. Cole Cousineau and Austin Finnegan. So again, I would think that it sounds like they're maybe going to merge this and have run one big division. And hey, all for that. I like seeing as many junior late model drivers that you can have out at the same time. And Avery Kirkpatrick winning the championship. The lady got it done. She's a young lady, but she got it done. So Ladies of the Oval's got themselves somebody to watch there for sure. Gracelyn McInnes, Lakeland Junkin, and Lila Sigma also out there as well. We head to the Switch Tire mini stock division. Now, this was one that I paid close attention to, obviously, as a mini stock fan. And the guy that you had to watch all season long was Nolan Gould. And Nolan really kind of took it to the field in that number 20 AG. Great looking race car. Absolutely beautiful. And comes home with the championship. Curious what he's going to do this year. Very curious. If he's going to try and repeat, back it up, or if he's going to go to another division. Ember Junkin finishing second in the point standings. And in we say his final season. I don't know if I fully trust Feeney when he says he's done, but Brandon Feeney running the mini stock 38F, finishing third. Rob Crick, Aaron Kearns. Then you've got Carol Dawson in sixth, Chris Tubman, Tyler McMurder, Dylan Wills, and John Laval. Good story about Tyler, former media person and massive iRacer, getting out there running a mini stock. And Carol Dawson getting out there as well. I'm not sure if Carol's going to continue to run at Peterborough. She's going to do some touring around, but we saw her a couple times out at Sunset. And just go out there and have some fun, and we'll see a bit more. I'm sure out of both of those. I think there's definitely those two. I would imagine are both back in the series next year, back at the track. Tyler Croft in 11th in points. Then Todd Labadie, Victor Vols, Dan Demers, Dave Bragg, Michael Robinson, James Townsend, Kevin Strutt, Coleridge Finnemore out of Sunset Speedway, Neil Bennett, Christian Laval, Dave Butcher, Tegan Stanley, and Tiffany Vanderbilt are your 24 Switch Tire mini stocks. Thank you, Switch Tire. And congratulations to Nolan Gould. We head next to the TLC Plumbing Renegade Trucks. Kyle Gordon taking the championship and the 52. Now, this was there was some shenanigans, I believe, that took place in that final race, and unfortunately, or the final couple of races. And I'm not close to the situation. I just know that there was some debate over how things went. Kyle Gordon wins the championship. Chad Strawn second in the 35. Paul Boundy. Listen, what I love about these Renegade trucks is if you can't get a partner, do something fun. And they've done something very fun with these trucks. And if they don't have, certain trucks don't have partners, they make them so much fun. You've got a Superman truck that was out there. You've got a Hot Wheels truck that was out there. The Pokemon truck out there. Stacy Switzer's truck is my favorite, the Tonka truck. I absolutely love that. And as Donovan says, it was a wild championship race. It was, and unfortunately, Donovan, when that happens, sometimes, things get a little bit nuts, and it doesn't work out for anybody in the end, unfortunately. Jordan DeRoche, as far as I know, I don't believe that he's back for 24, so we'll see. Stephen Beerworth, Stacy Switzer, Michael Feeney, Scott Jacobs, Jack Dallin, Kurt Batty, Ethan Thompson, and Isaiah Switzer. Now, I don't know about Ethan Thompson either. I believe I had seen somebody that's working on a truck right now that looks to be his former truck, so I don't know if he's picked up a new one, which is very possible. But young Ethan Thompson, big fan of him. It's cool to see people that get to go out and learn how to race. These trucks are friggin' awesome too. Like they're a good show. Again, it's one of those things. If we could get week to week a bit more in the division, I'm just they're so much fun to watch. And that Kyle Gordon, he's got something, and definitely is somebody I think you've got to watch moving up the ranks. It definitely would seem Kyle Gordon is, if he wants to at least, definitely has a good career ahead of him. I think obviously if you ask other people in the garage, maybe not so much, but I definitely am going to cheer on Kyle Gordon. I think that was a very a tough championship to go up against, and Chad Strawn as well. Chad's got probably the best, one of the best looking trucks out there. Now, I think Chad used to also be the 77 modified, and that was always a beautiful looking car. So I'm not really surprised by Chad Strawn being a championship favorite. I almost kind of am jealous too that Peterborough is the ones that have the Renegade trucks. I think that any type of truck racing is cool. And Full Throttle, they've got their truck division. They've got Thunder trucks. You got the Renegade trucks here at Peterborough. Like I said, I think it's a hot division. It's very, very fun, and really there's a great amount of competition for the amount of trucks that they have that come week to week to week. It is very nice to see it. Like I said, I'm hoping we get a bit more on the count this year. I believe there's a couple people I know of that were interested, so we'll see how they do. But Kyle Gordon and TLC Plumbing, Chad ran the mod as well. Yes. So Kyle Gordon, champion, and thank you to TLC Plumbing for supporting the Renegade Truck division. Next up is, obviously, this was the one that I paid attention to the most. This was the Jiffy Lube on Reed Superstock division. And the main reason I pay attention to it is because of we've got some SNS Racing family members, a lot of them actually, that were part of this division last year. And again, competition-wise, very solid. Very, very solid back and forth. Championship came right down to the wire. And Miles Tyson, who made the move in the offseason to go from Sunset to Peterborough, ends up winning the championship in a beautiful number 49 Superstock. Mark Gordon, also in that championship hunt, just wasn't able to get there. Brandon Feeney in the 38F, third place in the points. 2 third place finishes in points for Brandon Feeney. Paul Bounty in 4th as well, so he gets a 3rd and a 4th in points. Donovan Price in 5th. Now, that was first year for Donovan with that new car, so hopefully this second season with it will be even better. Marley Owen in 6th. Didn't run the full schedule. Jeremy Dobb, 57. That car, I believe, is no longer with Jeremy Dobb. Looks like it's headed back to its previous owner. Garrett Teemersma did not run the full season. Unfortunately, had a miserable year. Garrett was somebody I expected to compete with Miles for the championship. And you know, you have those seasons that are just tough. And unfortunately, Garrett had a great 2022, but 2023 was not very kind to him at all. Mechanical problems, accidents, just was not able to have the season he wanted. He'll be better, whatever division he's back into next year. I know I've seen the Superstock out there on Marketplace, so we'll see if he's going to be running the Superstocks or he's going to try something else. But Clayton Reed, also a rookie in Peterborough last year. A couple of starts, didn't make the full season, but he's looking like he's going to be back in 24. Brad Laval will be back. We'll take a look at the full rosters that we have so far. This is just by asking around. There's no actual posting of them yet. Anthony DeBello was somebody I was hoping we'd see a little bit more of, but a little bit of a quiet year for him. Kyle Gordon making a start, and then Dan Archibald as well. I don't believe we'll see Dan Archibald back in the Superstock division at Peterborough next year. He's got some more stuff on his plan. And then KOD Disposals. First off, we just want to make sure we thank Jiffy Lube on Reed for their support. KOD Disposal late models. Now, this wasn't, I didn't really feel like this one was up for debate. I felt with Ryan Kimball going back and running week to week that he would be a standout. He would be somebody that they'd have to really compete against to win this championship. And that was what happened. Ryan Kimball comes away with the championship in the number 16. Daniel Montanari, interesting again. Montanari's got the car up for sale. I think Dan McHattie as well has got his car up for sale. So a lot of potential change happening. Same with Jacob Mercer. So KOD Disposal late models. I don't know if people are getting out of late models, trying to update their late models. But there is a lot of movement potentially happening at Peterborough. Ryan Kimball, what's he going to do next year? Is he going to be back in the KOD disposal late models? Is he going to go back and do some APC series races? Is he going to go to Sunset and run their late model division? Lots of question marks. Same with Montanari and Dan McHattie. Jacob Mercer, again, somebody else I expect you see continue to improve. James Horner, also very good in his starts last year. I'd like to see, again, a bit more out of James Horner. I don't know what their plans are, if he's going to come back and do some APC racing. I think of the guys that formerly ran the APC series, this is kind of the time to do it, because you're going to have a bit of a changing of the guards there with J.R. Fitzpatrick kind of not being back, Danny Benedict not being back. That kind of opens up some of the spots that maybe you would see out there. But Tyler Junkin, Sean Walker, Jason White, Gary Hanna, and Brant Graham, James Townsend, Derek Lynch, the legendary Derek Lynch, Canadian Motorsport Hall of Famer, Bobby Cousineau, Tim Batty, Steve Powell, Doug Hanchard, Derek Wood, Doug Wills, Dan Archibald, Brian Mercer, and Mark Gordon. So the KOD disposal, thank you for supporting the late models out at Peterborough Speedway. It's always fun to see what we've got in terms of racing in the point standings year to year to year. I definitely think that there's, some hope that these divisions continue to grow and thrive. And it is just a question mark, really, about how things will grow. And, I'm hoping that I can get out to Peterborough Speedway a little bit. I definitely love this track and the division. There's definitely a bit of a change between when you look at the first couple of racers and then the back of the field. There's a considerable difference in terms of some of the quality of the cars, and but week in and week out, they've always put on a great show here, and I'm very interested to see how Peterborough Speedway's divisions will look in 2024. Now, obviously, when we're talking about Peterborough, we've also got to talk about the Autumn Colors Classic. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other big-time events at racetracks we haven't covered, but I definitely want to make sure we cover the Autumn Colors. This is one that I follow all the way through, and that I did follow the broadcast as well, and mainly because it is such a big, prestigious event and local to me. Sunset obviously is something that I would love to have mentioned, but I wasn't able to really follow. Velocity wasn't really available. There was not a broadcast of it, and I wasn't able to make the event. So that's where we're covering the Autumn Colors Classic. Now, if you like racing, if you like camping, you like being part of something, you like watching some really crazy shit, go to the Autumn Colors Classic. 3 days of camping, racing, hopefully some good weather. It was questionable last year, got really, really cold, and a lot of rain, unfortunately, that first weekend, so they had to move it, and it's the first time in years they've had to do that. So, Autumn Colors Classic, let's take a look at the Pro Late 167. Now, obviously, for myself, I always like seeing, I'd love to go up to like 30 late models for this event. That's just not going to happen. But Danny Benedict's APC regular was able to get the win, and he was the dominant car throughout the entire event. Trayton Lapsevich, he came on strong, wasn't able to get close enough to make a move. Gord Shepard, the champion in the Pro Lates out at Sunset Speedway. You got to love seeing a champion coming out and supporting another track as well. Billy Zardo, fourth place finish. Solid effort for him. Bobby Cousineau, Brant Graham, Colton Everingham. I don't even know if he has that late model anymore, but Colton coming around, finishing in 7th. Paul Maltese in 8th. Local favorites, James Horner and Jacob Mercer in 9th and 10th. And then the first of 3 races he did in one day. Brandon Feeney subbing in for Gary Hanna in the 03. Stayed clean and out of trouble. Sean Walker in 12th. Norm Stoddard. tough day for Ryan Kimball, unfortunately, not able to do much. Jason White, Jonah Bell, Tyler Junkin, Gary Elliott made the trip all the way from the Maritimes, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him either. And Josh Gruntz finishing in 19th. Again, there's a big difference between what you see the top running late models coming off of like the APC late models and then some of the guys at the back. But still was a great event. Danny, he had a good control of it, but Trayton and Gord made him work for it. Now, probably the race of the day was the mini stock 67. The finish was phenomenal between Sean Taylor and Doug Butler. Doug had the dominant car, just working traffic, and Sean Taylor is somebody who I haven't had the luxury of meeting yet, but every time I see a special event, Sean Taylor is winning it in the mini stocks. So Sean, I know, has been doing a lot of stuff at Ohsweken Speedway, been running in their mini stock division out there, and has done a lot, really, of racing, does the big events. And Dougie Butler, champion at Sunset Speedway last year. Will Gibbons making the trip down in the 10G, always fast. Bobby Mercer, and then a guy out of Sunset, Jacob Sutcliffe, who I think Ashley McCubbin said it best in their predictions. He is somebody to watch in 2024. Think a lot of Jacob Sutcliffe, but I'd also put the guy that finished in 6th place, Ryan Babin, as well as somebody else to watch, that 89B. Carl Salt, always see him up front. Every race that he has been on broadcast, every time he is in a race, Carl Salt is running up front. Coleridge, Finnemore, a great run for Coleridge. Chris Tubman and Rob Crick, locals to Peterborough Speedway. Wade Thorne. Again, Wade's always somebody that you can never count out. Dylan Wills, Tyler Croft, Bob Stewart, Tyler McMurter. He had actually an accident, I believe, early in this race, so it kind of set his race off on a bad note. Carol Dawson, Nolan Gould, Matt Young, Mike Thompson. And unfortunately, Mike Thompson wasn't involved in an accident, not of his own making. Unfortunately, was spun and resulted in him ending his race. Tim Tolton in for Dave Dipple, sorry, and had to pull off early, unfortunately. Chris Inglis, Tiffany Vanderbilt, Rob Harrison as well, and Robbie Sykes, really damaged race car, unfortunately. Huge wreck for the 52, and it took him out early. Harrison's was a mechanical problem, I believe, that took him out early. Super stocks. Now, I was really expecting that this one was going to come down to Marley Owen and Miles Tyson, and it kind of did. Marley was close enough, but wasn't able to make a charge at the end. Miles Tyson comes home and wins the Superstock event at the Autumn Colors Classic. Sean McWhirter in the 56 for Brandon McFerrin. Big news with the 56S in that Sean Chenoweth has posted that he will be running whether it's going to stay, I don't think it's going to stay the 56S. I imagine it's going to become the 89C. But in the Quick Superstock Series, it looks as if the Stewart's Equipment 56 is going to become the Stewart's Equipment ride for Sean Chenoweth. Now, whether or not that's going to be Sean Chenoweth and Stewart's Equipment sharing it, I mean, they said that it's a partnership between the two of them, but it's obviously, I'm hoping there's a bit more to the story, and that we'll see Brandon McFerrin still around. Don't know what's going to happen with him. Gord Shepard, that number 30. I know they were running. They put Todd Davenport's name up there, but it was Gord Shepard racing it, and not sure again what Gord's doing in 2024. Garrett Tiemersma, solid season ender in 5th place, just a decent finish. Dan Archibald, Ethan Constable, Daniel Hahn, somebody else you're going to be watching this year in Superstocks. Daniel Hahn's going to be doing it out at Sunset Speedway. Lane Zardo, a very quiet night for him at the Superstock event. Paul Boundy, Cole Burrows, Johnny Morrison, Rob Richards, Jacob Booth, Ryden Lapswich. They had the two of those guys got into it. Closing to the end of this event, Donovan Price and Brad Lavelle pulled off, unfortunately, before the end of the race. So the Superstock 67, or Superstock 50, I believe it was, solid race. Unfortunately, just not able to have everybody finish. But again, another one of those crown jewel events that is always fun to watch. And Miles Tyson can say that he's won it now. Marley Owen was close, but second place for her, very solid finish. Sean McWhorter, not bad in third place. And obviously, again, I'm one of those guys I'd love to see a little bit more. We get back up to 21, 22 cars. That would have been great, but 17 still put on a show for us. Now, Oscar was also racing at the Autumn Colors Classic we do every year, and they were finishing up their season. And for the mods, it was pretty well butt kicking by Sean Chenoweth. Not a ton of fight from the rest of the field, unfortunately. TJ Edwards did what he could in second, but that 35 car that Andy Camrath and Sean Chenoweth put together, the London Recreational ride, was just lights out all season long. Undefeated, as far as I remember. Undefeated car. And Sean Chenoweth took it to victory lane at Delaware and took it to victory lane here at Peterborough. TJ Edwards, Brian Batty. And Brian's not fully confirmed for what he's going to be doing for Oscar Mods yet. Tyler Liscombe, AJMs, Rick Spencer-Walt. Brandon Feeney, that's his second race, and that's his mod. Alvin McNichol, Rick Warness, and Tyler Bullion from the Ontario. Warness and Bullion from the Ontario Modifieds. We were probably going to have a bit more in the field again, of course, if things had stayed the same. But with the weather, not everybody was able to come back, including like Wally Wilson was somebody who was you would have expected to be out there, and Wally just loves his mods. But unfortunately, weather does affect stuff like this, and we weren't able to do that. The Oscar Hot Rods, Tyler Hahn ended his season with another win and a championship. Rick Spencer-Walt in the 6W for Rob Bromley comes back and finishes in second place, and AJMs for Rob Bromley finishes in third. Luke Janak out of the Sunset Speedway, Connor Ellis in what has been a tough year for them. They were borrowing a car, and Connor Ellis finished in fifth place. Ryan Cowan, Jeremy McLean, Matt Spry, John Laval, Dan Price, Sean Walker, and Brandon Feeney for Art Rogers finished at the back. Not all the Oscar Hot Rod guys were able to come back, including Nick Clark, Bill Clark, and we weren't able, unfortunately, to see Kenny McNichol back out there. I thought he was in the race, but I guess the timing and scoring might not have him on there. May have him listed as Matt Spry, I'm not sure, but always is tricky when you're doing these results to see whether or not there's legitimacy with them. But Bone Stocks, I can say this for sure. Phil Givens was the winner in the Zero car. That car has got an incredible track record right now, and he is always a threat when you go to the Peterborough Speedway. Kyle Neumeister, somebody else you've always got to watch out there. Chris Allard, Wade Thorne, Spencer Riddell from Flamborough, Cam Thompson from Flamborough, Jordan Welms from Flamborough, Tegan Stanley from Peterborough. Craig Cole runs typically out of Delaware Speedway. Alex Stewart, he's basically a traveling bone stalker. Tyler Wheel typically runs out at Delaware. Brady Cox, he's also kind of mostly all over the place, but typically out of Flamborough. Local Christian Laval, Nathan Mitchell, Connor Park, Zach Chang, Victoria McLennan, Matt Christina, Greg Duncan, Connor Ellis, and Dustin Johnson were your 21 bone stocks that raced in the feature. We had a couple of cars that probably could have come in and raced, but didn't make the cut. Unfortunately, not everybody was able to make it back for the feature on the following weekend. Junior late models that raced out at the Autumn Colors, and Lucas Finnegan put on a show over Keegan Moat, Cole Camrath, and then Lucas and Carson Cousineau. Landon Sellers, Josh Davenport, Ethan Mallon. Wyatt Sprung and Lila Sigma were your top 10. Caden Beatty, Cole Cousineau, Morgan Moore, Avery Kirkpatrick, Gracelyn McInnes, Mia Ford, Lakeland Junkin, Chase Cousineau, and Chase Stevenson. It was a tough race for Chase Cousineau. He had a really rough go of it, unfortunately. A lot of spins and just a tough race for him. But that's what you're going to have as young racers, and we'll see kind of what happens in 2024 with a lot of these names out here, because we know Cole Camrath's going to get an opportunity to do a couple more races in a different division, and Lucas Finnegan, again, somebody else that's going to look very impressive, I think, as he continues. I still got my eye again on Josh Davenport. I think that kid's got a lot of talent. And again, somebody else I expect to have a good season, Lila Sigma out at Peterborough for sure. Outlaw Midgets, Nick Spees, Mike Bradley, who was named the champion, Rob McCall, Richard Woodland, Kevin Spees, Jason Semple, Dave Inglis, Kayla Semple, Fred Homewood, Dave Bradley, Jason Metcalf, and Derek Millman. So we've gone through our point standings and our results from the Autumn Colors Classic. So what do you have to look forward to in 2024? Well, thankfully, we've got some connections to people within the Peterborough Speedway community. And I'm not going to go out and say that that's me, because I'm not as familiar with Peterborough Speedway racers. Still trying to learn each week. But let's take a quick look at who's confirmed with me that they're back, and others that have been confirmed via other sources. So Brandon Feeney has given us a good amount of names, thankfully. And I'm sure Donovan Price as well. But let's take a quick look at who we've got on the potentials. Now, what I saw today from Delaware Speedway is they're posting their registrations. I'm okay with this. I think as somebody who does media and covering motorsports, that's something I need. So when tracks don't post results, they don't post the correct spelling of driver names, they don't post the correct name, they don't post point standings, makes it very difficult to promote, because you want to have your information be as correct as possible. But we're going to continue to try and work on that. Hopefully more tracks do that. I think it's a good way to get people hyped up for the season. Sure, there's also another risk about people potentially criticizing, but that's going to happen no matter what you do. There's going to be people that criticize this show, people that criticize good decisions, bad decisions. No matter what you do, there's always going to be something that'll either work or not. But let's take a look at who we've got. And obviously there's going to be more than what we've got here so far. But let's take a quick look at who we've got. And we'll take a look at these divisions. Obviously, I don't have a lot of insider knowledge at this track myself. But let's take a quick look at the bone stock division. So we've got Christian Lavelle. I'm just realizing that there's a spelling error there. It should be Laval. Tegan Stanley, Sean Kennedy, and Corey Horn. No confirmation right yet if Jacob Kelly, your champion from 2023, is going to be back. So Corey Horn, Tegan Stanley, Sean Kennedy. Of course, Kennedy and Tegan Stanley, second, third in points last year. Christian Lavalle's up and coming. And then, of course, the departures there. Miles Tyson has already announced that they are going back to Sunset Speedway in 2024. And Brandon Feeney has already announced his retirement. And unfortunately, that stinks, because Feeney was a competitor in a couple of divisions. So potentially means a loss of competition in mini stocks and in the super stocks. And speaking of super stocks, let's head over to the Superstock division. Donovan Price back in the 96, Brad Laval in the 6, and Paul Boundy have also confirmed that they are back. Not a confirmation on the Renegade truck, though, for Paul Boundy. So Brad Laval and Donovan Price, though, they have confirmed that they will be back in the Superstock division at Peterborough Speedway. We'll head right along the line here into the mini stock division. John Laval, Carol Dawson, and Todd Labadie are back. In terms of the full-time competitors, I would expect you'll see Tyler McMurter back out there. Nolan Gould, if he's going to run again for the championship, I expect that we'll see him back out there. Hopefully a couple more opportunities. Matt Boundy confirms here Zach Chang in the 39 bone stock. Love to see that. We'll be back. Great story for Zach Chang last year. So thank you, Matt, for confirming. We really appreciate that. So good news that Zach Chang will be back. Actually, it's always nice to see, especially after that story that was posted last year. Hopefully we get to see a bit more out of him. Again, Victoria McLennan, like I would expect to see her back as well. These are your year in and year out. Chris Tubman. All right, when we head over to the junior late models, rookie Robbie Miltimore will make his series debut, racing debut really, at Peterborough this year. Landon Sellers, Caden and Wyatt Beatty, and making her debut in the 35 Savannah Strawn. Again, we can expect to see Avery Kirkpatrick back. I think you can expect to see Lila Sigma back. Again, it's all about these confirmations coming later on. Renegade Trucks, Chad Strawn, can expect to see him back as well. Now, prolates is always a tricky thing because you can never really tell right towards the very end, but we do have some confirmations, some right now, and we can confirm that Kelly Balson, he had already announced his plans. Kelly Balson is coming back racing, and I love it. Kelly Balson's going to run prolates. It was announced that he was running Peterborough, so we'll see if that's still going to be the case. Gary Hanna in the 03, he'll be back, and Tyler Junkin, and he will be back as well. I believe at least Tyler Junkin's going to be back in the prolates. Exciting stuff for Peterborough Speedway because we're just building this one right now. And now, thanks to Matthew Boundy, we do have confirmation that Zach Chang will be back in the 39 bone stock for 2024. We have to thank Brandon Feeney for doing some investigative work for us, and Donovan Price, as always. Matt Boundy as well here for providing that answer to us, and everybody else that is confirmed so far. We're going to keep building this in the offseason and see who we can continue to add and see how the rosters look as we head to season opener for Peterborough on May 18th. So, again, this has been a great opportunity to talk Peterborough Speedway. And unfortunately, like each week, it's always a hit or miss when it comes to an audience and getting known out there. But we're going to continue to try and build week in and week out with ONTrack Weekly. And Peterborough Speedway is a track that deserves a lot of love. A track that, for myself, holds so many great memories of the early years of my racing fandom. Believe it or not, before I went to Peterborough Speedway, I'd only ever seen 2 races previously, both at Mosport Speedway. In 2003, Cascar Super Series season race at Mosport Speedway was the first time I had ever witnessed a Cascar-like event, racing of that potential. Now, there was a race previous to that, probably 2001, maybe 2002, that I attended with my dad and with my brother. Could I tell you what that type of race was? I can't, because I don't believe that it runs anymore. But it was just a race that had all different types of cars in it. It could have been an Enduro for all I know. But I feel like it had a car that looked a lot like Sterling Marling's number 4 Monte Carlo, the Kodak car. And it had some old muscle cars in it. And I still remember it was a pass by number 55. That was the very first race that I saw at Mosport. But then when we went to Peterborough was close up. Peterborough was, these cars are on the, like, right close to me. And yeah, it's got its naysayers. It's got people that want to see things fixed and changed, but JP and the team there do an amazing job, and I have to credit them on the videos that they've been putting out there, featurettes. That's the type of stuff that speaks to a lot of people, and I really, really appreciate everybody that races out at Peterborough Speedway, that has raced at Peterborough Speedway, that works at Peterborough Speedway, and of course the partners there. The fact that it's still around, and I go back there, and every time I go back to Peterborough Speedway, I remember those first CASCAR races I ever saw there. There was only 2, but to this day, I still remember both the final year that I went there, both finishes. And that doesn't happen for no reason. Hell, I remember a race in there with names like in the Legends, they had Thunder Cars, they had TQ Midgets. I feel like this was all at the same time as the CASCAR event. Harvey Burley, if I remember his name was, number 3. He had a very similar looking Dale Earnhardt car. And I can't remember the guy's name. It was Vince something in the 55. It was a Thunder car. And Andy Warburton in the 24 Legend car. And it was the fact that I can still remember those names. It means something. The Sean McGlynn win in the Ontario Sportsman Series race, back then it was the Power Water Series at Peterborough, still is etched in my mind. It was one of the coolest races I've ever seen. And it was Brad Graham, the CASCAR racer, up front. And Kenny Grubb spun in front of him and Mike Alguire, who were battling for the lead in turn 1 and 2. Sean McGlynn went underneath. He won the race. And then in the CASCAR event, it was between Ron Beauchamp Jr. and Kerry Mix, and Kerry got into him out of turn 2, and Ron was going to wreck, and Kerry let him save it, and came back and he won the race, and I will never forget that. I remember Brian Cathcart signing Frisbees for us there. So Peterborough holds such a big place in my heart, and the fact that we get to have a show here to talk about it is an honor, and I'm excited to see what happens out at Peterborough Speedway in 2024. JP and the team will look to continue doing great things. We'll be back there for the Ontario Sportsman Series, July 27th. I am Cam K. I've been your host today for Peterborough Speedway's year in review and our look forward here on ONTrack Weekly. Thank you again to Donovan Price. Thank you, Brandon Feeney, for your assistance. Thank you to the team here at GeForce TV. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up and give us a subscribe for the channel. It really does help us as we continue to grow week in and week out. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you, Donovan, for being your intro for tonight. We'll be back next week. We'll cover Delaware Speedway. There's a lot to talk about for Delaware. We will see you then. Thank you all for tuning in to ONTrack Weekly. I am Cam K.